Shalom, everyone. This is Amir I'm live from Galilee. I'm so happy to see so many of you from literally all over the world. I'm watching people from Abu Dhabi, from Bahrain, from Dubai, people also from the United States, from Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Japan. It is wonderful to see all of you. Listen, the Middle East was everything but boring over the last few days. In fact, I'm going to go back. I will rewind everything to exactly a week ago. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was unavailable. All the people that tried to reach him during that Sunday could not reach him. And at the same time, people that are watching always the movement of aircrafts in and above Israel noticed a very suspicious flight from Tel Aviv to the city of Neom in Saudi Arabia. It's the closest major Saudi city to the Red Sea and to Israel. And this is the futuristic city that Mohammed bin Salman is building right now. That is where he had a meeting that was scheduled with Secretary of State Pompeo as he was wrapping up his visit here before Thanksgiving on the way back home to the U.S. And surprisingly, it wasn't the Air Force, American Air Force plane of Secretary of State. It was actually a Learjet that took two major Israeli figures. It was the Prime Minister of Israel and the head of the Israeli Mossad, the Secret Service of Israel, that is legendary, and we will talk about it even when we deal with the Iran assassination. Now, both of them landed in Neom, and they had a meeting with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Of course, the progressive media outlets try to paint this meeting as a failure. Nothing really was achieved there. And let me tell you, it was everything but a failure. Prime Minister Netanyahu, I believe, did not discuss with Mohammed bin Salman his plans for the next few days. In other words, not what Israel is planning on doing in Iran, but there is definitely, Iran was on the table there, and make no mistake, during that meeting, the Saudis agreed that Israel, in fact, the Saudis asked for the Israeli Air Force to use Saudi airspace if needed to be able to do whatever has to be done to make sure that Iran will not attack Saudi Arabia and its neighbors. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mossad, the Israeli Secret Service, is now calling the region the United States of the Middle East. Maybe Saudi Arabia doesn't have a formal relations with Israel at the moment, but when an Israeli prime minister is meeting with the crown prince on Saudi soil, this is definitely something that is unbelievable. And let me also tell you that maybe we have no normalization agreement with the Saudis, but you need to know the Saudis have already agreed for every Israeli civilian plane that is on its way to the Emirates or to Bahrain or elsewhere like India and Thailand, we can actually fly over Saudi airspace. So in reality, there is already a major step towards normalization without an agreement. We're going to talk about what is the obstacle for the Saudis to actually come out of the closet and declare that they have a real official relations with Israel. It's not easy. And we will talk about it in a few minutes. But I just want you to know the meeting was very fruitful. Netanyahu was not expecting a deal. He expected collaboration, cooperation, and Israel is ratcheting up its collaboration with intelligence and military cooperation with the Saudis. The Saudis needs Israel more than Israel needs the Saudis at the moment. You've got to understand the Saudis are in a very, very odd position. There is a rumor that somebody in DC claims to, or in Delaware, claimed to have won the elections, and his name is Joe Biden. And the Saudis understand he is bad news for them for several reasons. A, he already declared that he would love to run back to the Iran deal. But B, if you remember, a couple of years ago, the Saudis took care of a Saudi journalist residing in America, but he came to visit Turkey, and he entered into the Saudi embassy in Ankara in Turkey, and he never came out at all. I mean, he was probably killed and eliminated. His body has never been found. And so the Democrats at the time made a big deal. They even the Congress, at least the House, that was dominated by Democrats, was actually running to have a resolution against Saudi Arabia. Human rights. That's what the Democrats are all about, human rights. You know, there's a lady that attacked me online. She said, you are for pro-life before they are born, but you're not if you're for Trump, then you're not for pro-life after they are born. And I'm like, you know what? That's the problem. When you stand behind Iran and China, I'm not sure how much you are into human rights at all. But all I can tell you is that the Khashoggi that was killed is now the biggest stumbling block for relationship between Saudi and a possible Biden administration. I cannot even say Biden administration, because I know that President Trump has a real great chance to remain president. We'll talk about it at the very end, but I just want you to know that the Saudis are in an odd position because they might lose the great support they have with President Trump. They've got two countries, major players in the Middle East, that are now their enemy. Iran, the Shiite Iran, and Iran, make no mistake, Iran in 2019 attacked the major Saudi they are refineries, oil refineries. And we're talking about a stunning strike of dozens of cruise missiles and UAVs that hit precisely the top of those big tanks where the gas, there's the oil, and there's a little bubble of gas at the very top. It hit the gas, so everything will explode. The whole world was shocked at the level of precision that the Iranian operation had. Everybody went back home to recalculate the Iranian abilities. And the Saudis understand that Iran can hit them very hard. On the other hand, you've got Turkey. Turkey is sponsoring the Islamic Brotherhood. Turkey is now friends with Qatar, which is also a country that right now Saudi Arabia is boycotting. And so we're finding ourselves in a situation where Israel is actually the best friend Saudi Arabia can find right now in its battle against Turkey and also Iran. And so more than Israel needs Saudi Arabia at the moment, Saudi Arabia needs Israel. And the meeting was very, very good. And as I said, it's the Saudis that said to the Israelis, if you need to use our airspace for fighter jets, not for civilian aircraft, you can definitely do that. Guys, this is nothing new that Israel and Saudi collaborate. It happened before, but this is now a step higher than what we had before. And this is quite amazing. Now, what stops Mohammed bin Salman from outing these relationship and signing any agreement? I tell you what stops him. What stops him is three things. One is the fact that he is not the king. He is the crown prince. The king is his father, Salman. Salman is an older guy. He's about to kick the bucket, I believe. But Salman goes back to the older generation, the sons of the founder of Saudi Arabia. And he's still in this mindset that Israel, is the problem, and, the Palestinians are the poor people. And he didn't smell the coffee and wake up to understand that the world had changed completely. And although he totally get it that there's a new Middle East, he is unable to get out of his old ways, and therefore Mohammed bin Salman has to be very careful. By the way, Mohammed bin Salman, he might well tomorrow be kicked out of his position as the crown prince, and his father might appoint someone else as crown prince if Mohammed bin Salman will disobey his father. Therefore, you need to understand these things happen in the Middle East. It happened in Jordan. King Hussein, literally days before he passed away, he flew from America back to Jordan. He kicked his brother, who was the crown prince, and put his son instead. Then he flew back to the US, and that's where he died of cancer. So these things can happen, and Mohammed bin Salman has enough enemies in-house from the royal family, those who wants to be the next in line. And therefore, I believe that what we're going to see with Saudi Arabia is just low flame, and it's going to be more of on the unofficial, below the radar, but full collaboration between the two countries, and we have it already. Sheba and Dedan are definitely on our side. Make no mistake. Biblically, this is phenomenal. But I also want you to know, folks, that by the way, just breaking news, just so you know, Jared Kushner is on his way to Saudi Arabia right now. Very on-plan, unexpected visit. We're not sure why. It might have something to do with Saudis needing the Americans to maybe negotiate something even further with Israel. We're not sure. We'll see. But these are big news right now. And so a few days passed, and in the Middle East, things continued the same way. We're talking about the Turks continue to mobilize troops all the way into Libya. They are also moving people and moving troops to the northern part of Syria. The war in Nagorno-Karabakh between Azerbaijan and Armenia came to a standstill at the moment, but the Turks are definitely there inside. And so what we are seeing right now is that the Sultan Erdogan is watching what's going on in the Middle East, and he is definitely looking at what happened this Friday. And now we're coming to that one. I want you to know that another part that Saudi Arabia is deep in trouble is the war with the Houthis. The Houthis are the Shiite rebels in Yemen, and they are sponsored by Iran. They are operated by Iran. They have Iranian-made weapons, missiles, and all of that. And the Houthis are literally launching an attack on the Saudi soil and Saudi airports and Saudi oil facilities almost on a weekly basis. The UAE was part of that war until last year, and they moved out. They pulled out of that one. They're no longer part of it. And therefore, the Saudis are left alone there. And Mohammed bin Salman is being accused by the rest of the royal family as somebody who is fighting an unnecessary war that will lead nowhere. Look, all I can tell you is this: more than the Saudis needs us, we need them. They need us, and they actually purchased from Israel the Arrow, the anti-missile or the air defense system that Israel made. And apparently it's something that is working. So, folks, there's a lot of stuff that is going on right now in the Middle East when it comes to the Saudi-Israeli relations. Who knows what the visit of Jared Kushner right now is going to bring forth? All I can say, folks, is that a few days passed, and then came Friday morning. And Friday morning was a morning that Iran would love to forget. We're talking about if in January, on January 3rd, America killed the most admired general, Qasem Soleimani. On Friday, the other hand of that monster was cut off. And we're talking about Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, or Fakhrizadeh. And Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was not only a senior officer. They say he's a general in the Revolutionary Guard, but he was also a scientist, a professor for physics, and he's the father of the Iranian nuclear program. The program itself started as a military program until it was unveiled and exposed, and then what they did, they moved into a civilian program, as if we're working on something for civilian purposes. But it's the same people who work for the military program that Fakhrizadeh is now hiring for the... Now, by the way, in May of 2018, Benjamin Netanyahu exposed Fakhrizadeh. The picture of Fakhrizadeh that we had there is of him much younger. You can clearly see that. And that's 2018. And Benjamin Netanyahu, in a speech before the nation of Israel, both in Hebrew and then in English, that's the English one, said that the SPND, the supposedly civilian program of nuclear program of Iran was actually led by Dr. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, and many of the SPND key personnel worked under him on Project Ahmad, which was the project for the military, for the bomb. So, you know, when the Iran deal was signed, it was signed with a declaration of Iran that they never, ever had a military plan to have a bomb. That's what they said. And when Israel stormed in February of 2018, Israeli Mossad agent managed to break into a storehouse, a warehouse in the suburbs of Tehran, and literally break into dozens of safes and take out of them all the entire nuclear archive of Iran, where we proved to the world that Iran was lying. Iran had a military program. Iran is moving towards a bomb. And in fact, it's the same people who worked on the bomb that are now hired as people who are working in a civilian project for a nuclear energy. Let me tell you, folks, this is exactly what President Trump needed to announce that America is pulling out of the Iran deal. He needed that smoking gun, and we provided it for him. And Fakhrizadeh was the only person that Iran would never have standing before the UN Atomic Energy Agency. They never got a hold of him. They never got to meet with him. They never got to talk to him. And he was wanted on the Mossad list, and he was definitely a person of interest for the CIA and the FBI. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see in 2018 already, Israel had him already as someone that we would like to take care of. Make no mistake, folks, this man was the other half of Qasem Soleimani. In fact, I would like you to see this particular picture. Take a look at this one. You can see him sitting next to Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, up on the top. And you see over there on the top. And you can see down below him sitting next to General Qasem Soleimani. And you can see that's the trio that Iran's leadership, the Ayatollahs, was boasting with. I mean, these are the three people that are the most capable and the most dangerous of all. And as you know, Soleimani is gone, and Fakhrizadeh is gone, and I guess this is why the leader of Hezbollah is feeling a little bit unsafe today, to say the least. In fact, let me show you. That's the dead end of the two of them. January 3rd of 2020. Take a look at what's left from Soleimani's car. You see the fire. Actually, almost nothing is left from his car. That rocket that was coming out of the UAV, American UAV, just destroyed that. There was no chance for anyone to stay alive. With him died Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, the leader of the pro-Iranian militias in Iraq. And below, you can see Fakhrizadeh and his car and the huge spill of blood next to it. And I'll tell you all about it in a few seconds. So, ladies and gentlemen, what happened in the morning of Friday was nothing but something that can be taken out of thriller movies. I mean, there is. I don't think there is any Secret Service and organization in the world that can perform such a job in such a way. Everybody is in awe of what really happened, and let me explain what happened. First of all, you have to understand Iran is a huge monster when it comes to secret services. It has actually 24 intelligence organizations. 24 intelligence organizations. And let me also tell you that out of the 24 intelligence organizations, 18 of them are official, 6 are just not official. And so when you have so many intelligence organizations, they get a lot of intelligence, but they don't really share it with one another. All you need to do is find the crack in one of those, get the information you need without any of the big ones knowing that somebody even penetrated into it. And this is exactly what happened, folks. We learned the whereabouts of Fakhrizadeh. We learned that he owned another house, and the other house is actually in the city of. Let me tell you exactly. It was east of Tehran. In where is it? I can tell you in a second. Anyway, he was on his way. It was a convoy of 3 cars, his bodyguards in the first one. He was sitting in the second one, and another car of bodyguards in the third one. Altogether, 6 bodyguards, and he was in the middle car. What happened is fascinating. There was a small pickup truck that was, look at it, a Nissan pickup truck. By the way, you can find thousands of those in Iran. These are the old Nissan pickup trucks. And the back of the truck was loaded with explosive, and that was waiting to be exploded by a remote control. And as the convoy passed right by this blue car, and by the way, the owner of this blue car left Iran the day before. So he cannot be found. Anyway, that car exploded. From of course, the explosion, everything stopped. The convoy stopped. Everybody was shocked. And as they were shocked, a Hyundai Santa Fe SUV showed up, and 4 motorcyclists came as well. They literally sprayed the middle vehicle, and they pulled Fakhrizadeh out and made sure that he is dead by literally making sure that he is dead. And they left as if earth had swallowed them. The Iranians they understand there were at least 12 people on the ground. At least 50 people assisted them with logistics, with safe houses, with cars, and with all of that. You have to understand a project like that has at least 5 different plans. If plan A is not working, plan B, plan C. So for every plan, there is a whole team waiting to operate, waiting for the right signal. Ladies and gentlemen, everything worked as a Swiss clock. It was phenomenal. And all of these people are gone. Now, the Iranians in the last 1 hour are now showing a picture of 4 pictures of people of interest. And they're saying that, by the way, let me show you. I don't know if I can show you what the car looked like. Let me see if I can find it. I thought I had it here. Let me see if this is the one. Well, that's the Nissan. You see the blue color on the top? That's what's left from the Nissan car. Okay, well, anyway, just so you know, guys, this is basically what happened. They're all gone, evaporated. It's phenomenal. They can't find anyone. Now, the Iranians are not only humiliated that they're, look, if the Qasem Soleimani was actually killed in Baghdad, in Iraq. So the Iranians can say, look, if he would have been in Iran, it would have never happened. This guy was killed in the streets east of Tehran, in their house, in their home. And he's not the first one, by the way. He's the sixth scientist that was killed since 2010. And if I'm not mistaken, ladies and gentlemen, just a few months ago, Mossad agent killed number 2 of Al-Qaeda, Al-Masri, right there in Tehran. Him and his daughter, which was actually working with him. Ladies and gentlemen, these are monsters. These people not only killed hundreds of people, but as far as Fakhrizadeh, he was plotting and masterminding the annihilation of millions of people. In fact, let me show you something. If you think that, oh, it's such a bad thing, I want to show you what the Iranian regime was planning and plotting. Take a look at this tweet from earlier this year. This is Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran. Interestingly enough, the owner and CEO of Twitter never blocked this one, or never even had any warning underneath this one. It says the Zionist regime is deadly, cancerous growth and a detriment to the region. It will undoubtedly be uprooted and destroyed, and then the shame will fall on those who put their facilities and the services of normalization of relations with this regime. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you understand what we just read. What we just read is this. He says that Israel must be completely destroyed. That's what he said, basically. And the only way for the Iranians to destroy Israel, and they never hit that, by the way. He said that from the podium in the United Nations General Assembly. The only way for them to do that is by acquiring an atomic bomb. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a very diabolic mindset of this regime. And how do they do that? They use two monsters. They use Qasem Soleimani to export the Iranian revolution by creating militias all around the region, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, and of course, even in Africa. That's Qasem Soleimani, and they were giving us, headache day and night. And on the other hand, they were working on their crown jewel, their nuclear program. This whole nuclear program is the issue of the nuclear deal, of all that is going on. And that was probably one of the catalysts for the normalization between Israel and the Gulf states, and Israel and Saudi Arabia right now. And you have to understand, there's an Iranian guy that I just heard, or actually read what he said. He said, right now, Iran must have what they call nuclear immunity. In other words, we must reach the bomb as soon as we can in order for the world not to touch us. They look at North Korea, and they look at Pakistan, and they see that nobody's going to mess up with these countries because they have already atomic bombs. So they understand that's it. And so that's what Iran wants. You see, for them, they know that their regime might fall if they don't have that guarantee. And the Trump administration is just the worst nightmare they ever had. Even now, more sanctions and more sanctions and more sanctions. You have to understand, Qasem Soleimani's death left them broken with all of their militias. They run out of money. They have nothing. They're broken. And now, to cut the head of the other snake, the one that masterminded how to attach the nuclear head to a ballistic missile, he's gone. With these people are so they're so kept away from the rest that everything they know is only in their head. They know exactly who, where, how, what, and they would never share it with others because they're always afraid of leaks. And this is why the supreme leader counted on them both. And by the way, just so you know, look at this artwork that they just created. This is Soleimani, Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, and now Fakhrizadeh added. These three are dead. They're gone. And these are the three heroes of Iran. And within 1 year, not only that the corona killed hundreds of thousands there, tens of thousands there, but we're talking about the three most prestigious people that Iran exported. They're gone. They're dead. And two of them were killed in Iraq, and one, as you know, was killed right there in Tehran itself. This is a nightmare for the Iranians. And now we're going to ask ourselves, what happened after that? Guess who rushed to condemn the killing of this angel? Let me show you who rushed to condemn it. Take a look at this guy, John Brennan, the former CIA director, and he said this was a criminal act and highly reckless. It risks lethal retaliation and a new round of, look, they really want lethal retaliation so they can justify, all of their cost of why we need to run back to the Iran deal. Iran cannot afford retaliating at this point because Iran understands Trump is still in the White House. And at this point, if they will do something stupid, Trump can actually order a strike. In fact, a strike is on the table right now. And Iran understands that. By the way, the media in Iran is showing this photo from, I think, March of 2013, if I'm not mistaken. This is when Brennan was sworn in to become the director of the CIA. And guess who is there to swear him in? Joe Biden, of course. And the reason why the Iranian media is showing this is to actually show that there is a reason why we must wait for Biden to be the president, because he and Brennan are in the same mindset that they should appease us, and it's a criminal thing to do something against us. That's what we are dealing with. By the way, John Kerry is the father of the Iran deal, the nuclear deal, and he's now going to be, at least, again, I don't think there will be a Biden administration, but that wannabe is already giving jobs to so many people. Just so you understand how close Qasem Soleimani and Fakhrizadeh were, take a look at this video of the two of them, almost like two lovers. Look at the looks. Look, they're admiring one another. Look how they hug and kiss and okay, so that's it. I just want you to understand these are the same breed, those two monsters. And America took care of one, and you probably can guess that Israel took care of the other. And that's what we have. That's exactly what we have right now, ladies and gentlemen. And so it's important for me that you understand. It's important for me that you understand that there is a lot that is going on in between the elections in America and what is going on in the streets of Tehran, what's going on in Saudi Arabia. Turkey is watching all of this. And now let me remind you one thing. The Bible definitely speaks of an Iranian strike on Israel. But the Bible is not speaking of an Iranian war with Israel all by itself. We must remember, Iran understands it cannot do it by itself. It has no capability at this point. And Iran will wait for two things. It will wait for Trump to disappear, and it will wait for a coalition that will be led by Russia. And that is exactly what the prophet Ezekiel said. When Russia will come against Israel from the north, then Turkey and Iran will join him. And then we have, of course, Libya and Sudan, which are proxies of Turkey and Russia. They will also be used also as a base to attack Israel from. Ladies and gentlemen, Iran at the moment cannot retaliate more than a rocket here or a rocket there, because they understand they are risking themselves with a strike that anyway the Trump administration is already contemplating on doing. The B-52 that just flew over the skies of Israel a week and a half ago is a reminder to these things. We already know that there are more and more U.S. troops that are ready, more and more. When I say troops, I'm talking more about air power and not ground power. But I want you to know that the Iranians are very, very stressed right now from what they think America might do towards January 20th. And this is exactly why they are in a very big dilemma. If we hit now, we will invite a Trump attack. If we do nothing, we are going to look, it's humiliating. We haven't even revenged Qasem Soleimani properly. And now we have this thing to deal with. Can we even handle that? It's quite amazing to see all of these things happening right now. And remember, for that to happen, America can no longer be there for Israel, because America is not mentioned in the Bible as someone that will help Israel in that war. At the moment, America is the strongest ally of Israel. At the moment, as you know, if something's going to happen to Israel from the Russian side or Iranian side, America is instantly going to help Israel. But when either the believers are gone, or when there's a different regime in America that could care less about America first, and actually will run to the open arms of the Shiite world rather than the real allies of America in the Middle East, then of course that can be possible. And so we have to remember, even when we see all of these things, we see a greater will of Iran to do something. We see a greater will of Turkey also to eliminate Israel, because look, Israel is the biggest cause of shame to those two Muslim countries. You know, you're talking about a Sunni Muslim country, and you're talking about a Shiite Muslim country. Both are radical, and Israel is actually blooming, flourishing. Israel is prospering, and Israel have peace with all the main players in the Gulf. Israel, by the way, Israelis started flying already to Dubai. We're talking about thousands of Israelis that are there already, and they love it over there. I'm talking about the Emiratis, because you know, we really don't have too many places to go to right now with the COVID restrictions in Europe and America and other places, and it's very easy to go to the Emirates right now at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the flights are full, and the hotels there are enjoying the Israelis, the markets and the shops and the restaurants. I see TV reports almost every day of how the Emiratis are shocked with how much the fruits of the peace that was just signed just a couple months ago. It's quite amazing. We have peace with Jordan and Egypt for almost 30 years now, and we are not in Amman nor in Cairo. That peace was that people got Nobel Prize for is not exactly peace. But the peace that is really working and is really a true warm peace between nations, did the person that brokered that peace get a Nobel Peace Prize? Of course not. Obama, that brought upon the Middle East one of the greatest disasters in the 20th century, with millions of people that are displaced and hundreds of thousands of casualties and regimes that fell, all because of his policy. Obama received 3 months into his first term Nobel Peace Prize for nothing. And the real president that did bring peace to the Middle East, a peace that we can see and enjoy and is changing everything, is, of course, someone that people love to ignore. And this is where I want to encourage all of you today. I want to remind you all that it looks like dark clouds are covering America right now with someone that claims that he's president-elect, but he's not. Somebody who's already claimed to be the 46th president on Time magazine and others, but he is not. These are lies because nothing has been certified and nothing has been, in America, there's a process. There's a process. And you have to go through several things until you get certified. In fact, I was sure that I have let me see if I have it. I thought I have it. Just to show you where we are right now. Probably I didn't. But I just want you to know, folks, that all I can say is that one thing that I don't want you to forget is but God. Think about it. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of evil. But again, who are the people that are exposing the evil? These are mostly Christians. In America, I'm talking about right now. For what is going on right there. It's the Christians. Remember, we have the Holy Spirit in us. It's the restrainer. We have that capacity to restrain. We have that capacity to slow down, to stop. And that we're the salt of the earth. Salt is slowing down the decomposition of the flesh. You have to understand that as long as we are here, we are called to expose evil and not to have fellowship with it, as Ephesians says. And I believe that as long as the Christians are here, there is a very, 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 very good chance that what we see in America right now is going to turn around in the next 10 to 14 days. And because the evidences are so strong and they are so many, that I cannot believe that the Supreme Court of the United States of America, that is a constitution. Look, we're having 4 and 5 right now. Roberts flipped already to be one of the 4 liberals, and the 5 that are conservatives, they're constitutionalists, which means they take the Constitution as is. They're not reinterpreting it. And the Constitution is very, very clear about election laws and rules. And may I say that all the new executive orders and rules that Supreme Courts in Pennsylvania and others brought forth that allowed all the mail-in ballots to come late and even days after, that was not approved by the legislator of that state in Pennsylvania. And according to the U.S. Constitution, it's not the governor, it's not the Supreme Court of that state, it's the legislator that can only change election laws and rules. And therefore, we already saw with the Governor Cuomo that the 5 constitutionalists showed him that he cannot violate the Constitution and prohibit places of worship from being attended in the state of New York with all of his unconstitutional COVID restrictions. And I believe it's the same 5 heroes that are going to look into what happened in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, in Michigan, and also in Georgia, as well as in Nevada and in Arizona. And I believe at least 3 of those 6 states are going to flip because of SCOTUS decision. Look, again, we are here to expose these things, and it's not over. It ain't over until the fat lady sings. That's what they say. And I'm telling you, folks, in the next 2 weeks, we are going to see an unbelievable shift in America. Now, remember, everything that is now being said about President-elect is not legal and it's not official. Not at all. Not at all. In America, there is no president-elect until all the states have certified their results, and everything has been approved also later on by electors. And electors must vote, and they only vote on December 14. And by December 8th, almost everything has to be finished. I mean, we're up for a very interesting 9 or 10 days ahead of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe not only in the power of prayer of the righteous people, it avails much, the Bible says, but I also believe in the power of the restrainer. I believe that as long as we are here, we've got authority and we've got power to exactly stand up against such evil. And I can tell you, folks, that if the Lord will decide that it's Biden's term, then of course that's not going to work for us. But I can tell you that it's not over. It's not over at all. And I do believe with all of my heart that President Trump will remain president. And again, that doesn't mean that if he's still president, that okay, well then the rapture is not going to happen soon. No, the rapture is going to happen when the rapture needs to happen. Nobody knows the day and the hour. God is not looking at us and saying, oh, I'm going to delay the rapture because I want to give. No. You have to understand in 2 Peter, it says that God is not slack as some count slackness, but he's long suffering, not willing that any should perish, but all will come to the saving knowledge of Jesus. And so if there is any reason for maybe extending a few more years with the current administration, I believe it's for Christians to rise up and to occupy and to do the Father's business, even in a greater way, in a stronger way, until we're out of here. I'm not a dominion kingdom. I'm not a kingdom now theology guy. I don't believe that the church will ever take over the world and prepare the place for Christ to come back. I believe that the world will go the wrong direction and we're going to be taken out of here before he's judging this whole world. I believe that. But until he comes, the Bible says that we must occupy. We must do the Father's business. We must expose evil, not have fellowship with it. We must preach the gospel and we must get souls saved. And so this is what it's all about. So I do believe with all my heart, we need to continue to pray. We do have the strength of that restrainer. Remember, he that is in us is greater than he that is in this world. And he that is in this world wants to take over America. And why is it so important with America? I can tell you one thing. America is almost like the last stronghold of the globalists before they take over. I don't know if you saw it yesterday in the Great Reset. Let me show you something that might enable you to understand what we are talking about. I hope this is the video that I want to show you. No, that's not the one. Here it is. This is let me show you right now. Okay, the World Economic Forum. Take a look at this video that they produced. Watch this. Folks, I hope you all understand that there are. Well, I don't want to show you the whole thing. The globalists want America not to dominate the world anymore, and they want few countries to rule the whole world. Few leaders. They want a handful. Ladies and gentlemen, they said you will own nothing, but you will be happy. Look, you must watch the Great Reset, the round table we did yesterday. But what I want you to understand is that these are the dark powers that are trying to remove Donald Trump right now. And they'll do whatever it takes. He was an accident as far as they were concerned. They didn't understand that the people want him that much. And now when they understand how much the people want him, they did everything they could, every possible fraud they could pull, they used it. And the good thing is that they were so careless and clumsy that it was so easy to collect so many evidences and so many sworn affidavits that right now, I believe that when it gets to SCOTUS, it will come to an end. And this is it, folks. So I'm just telling you, folks, it's an evil plot, generation in age, they're old in age. But I do want you to know, folks, that great reset is waiting around the corner. And I believe that they need America down, and they need other countries to control the rest of the world. And for that, they need Biden in the White House. We already heard General Mattis, who said that America must stop the America First doctrine. Why? Aren't you proud of America? Why stopping it? I guess you don't want America first. I guess you are part of that cabal, part of that mindset. And it's very interesting that the World Economic Forum, that organization that meets every year in January in Davos in Switzerland, openly is announcing to people, we're going to take all that you own. You will own nothing, but you will be happy. Now that's, as far as I know, socialism, communism, whatever you call it. But let me tell you, folks, he that is in us is greater than he that is in this world. And as long as we are here, the restrainer is here, the Antichrist cannot be revealed. And all that world system that is there for him to use to rule the world cannot move and come and get into power until we're out of. So my prayer is that not only that Trump will remain president, but also that the only way he will no longer be president and this whole vicious plan will come to pass is because we are already out of here. And this is the great comfort, hope of the believer, the blessed hope. And so that's what we need to remember. Instead of being bitter and angry and frightful and frightened and fearful and anxious, we just need to remember that we have a wonderful job in this world, and we are here to be the salt of the earth, the light of the world, and we're also having a great responsibility to expose evil and not to take any fellowship with it. At the same time, to lead people to the Lord. And of course, when the time comes, he wants to find us doing the Father's business when he comes to take us. I want to encourage you, by the way, if you want to you go to our website, beholdisrael.org, to the shop section. And in the shop section, Amir's teaching, go down this printable DVD teachings. They're free of charge. And you can actually get a printable version of all of my DVDs, so you can actually give it to people maybe that, it's easier for them to read or whatever. Printable DVD teachings are there. All of my teachings, go ahead and take it. I guess this is it, folks, for this time. I want to thank you for watching. Let me end up with a prayer and remind you to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, Behold Israel. יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance towards you and give you his peace. That peace that only can come from the Prince of Peace, that peace that surpasses all understanding. It's only by the Prince of Peace, the Lord of Peace, and his name is Yeshua, who is our salvation. In his name we pray. Amen. Amen. So thank you, and God bless you, and shalom from Galilee.